If you're in pain, pain becomes an indicator. We want to let pain be the guide of our symptoms. Like, honestly, getting out of pain shouldn't be necessarily a pain-free journey. Pain is a complex cognitive, emotional, and physical process, and it's not something to be completely avoided. I think that tends to make people fearful of it. It's not something that we want to push either. You know, pain is not weakness leaving the body, so to speak. There's a range, right? Like most things, there is a range that if we find the tolerable amount and we, stress our body appropriately, the pain decreases, performance increases, and good things happen, right? So auto-regulation and getting out of pain go hand in hand. What I mean by that is, like, pain is a guide, and creating a system for yourself and, for potentially your clients or athletes to help them understand, like, okay, pain is one of the signals, the weight on the bar or the intensity of the exercise is another one. And then we just want to keep dialing it in to help people get to where they want to go. So what this could look like is, using reps in reserve or using a rate of perceived exertion. Say someone is experiencing knee pain with squats, right? So, a good rehab protocol or just a really good way to think about this is we want to find their entry point, right? So is that a range of motion entry point? Is that a load entry point? Is that a combination of those factors? Is it a switching of exercises type of things? Like maybe they don't tolerate like front squats, but they can do some form of like low bar squatting without a whole lot of problems. The human body is really, really specific. Like, and it's crazy how like positioning, well, it's not crazy, it's just physics, but it's crazy how positioning can really have a positive effect, like changing position, right? So we want to like triangulate where we need to start from a movement perspective, and then we want to figure out the dose, which, like, doing a few sets of 10 to 15 reps is going to be less intense work because you're doing more reps, so the weight can be lighter, right? And if that works well, that's great. That's a great starting point. Then we want to start to dose up the intensity over time. When we're trying to build strength or power, we want to get to where we're moving heavier loads or moving things faster to get into the more power end of the force velocity curve, right? We want to start to play around with those variables, and then along with that, throughout the process, we want to be basically figuring out, all right, performance is increasing, pain is staying the same. Okay, things are getting better, right? Performance is increasing, pain is going down, things are getting better. Pain is staying the same, performance is not improving. All right, we need to change some variables. So the real process of like triangulating like the data that you're taking in and like finding the entry point, the appropriate dose, the appropriate progression, all along that journey, we are using pain as an indicator. It is information, right? Now we also can use other things like just like chill movement that feels good as part of our training process, because movement that just feels good, that's maybe not like necessarily a training stimulus, contributes to movement variability. It also has a really positive effect on the psychological and emotional aspects of pain, because if you're not broken and you can still move in all sorts of ways, you tend to let go of that experience and tend to catastrophize less, tend to think you're broken, and those are really positive things. So the overarching goal of this video was to basically be like, hey, pain is one source of information. Figure out the rest of the sources of information that you can, like intensity, exercise selection, other factors like recovery and just general stress levels, and then use the pain that people are experiencing as part of the guide of the process to move them towards their goals, right? So don't get too bogged down in thinking like there's got to be like a perfect path here. It is honestly more about figuring out the principles, figuring out how to think about the process and help guide someone to it. Because again, pain, cognitive, emotional, physical. We have to manage the totality of the person's experience as best possible, and we want to do that optimistically. We want to keep them training, and we want to let them know that they're not broken. And that type of stuff works for just about every injury.